Hello again, everybody. Welcome to Sissy's Cards and Crafts. This is Sissy. I got you a little crooked here. Let me try to fix that. Don't want to make anybody nauseous. I think I made it worse. Anyway, I thought I would jump on and I would let you know I figured something else out with the Stampin' Positioner. I've been practicing with it today, figured out how to kind of do the frame a little bit. But I don't know how many of you enjoy doing embossing, but I really like it. That's one of the things that I really drew me to Stampin' Up! Was embossing. And one thing that you can do is clear embossing. Now, stick with me because, first off, heat embossing gives you a little raised edge on your cards. I was doing a card today, and this is the one that I had done the dry embossing on, or the heat embossing rather. And if I run my finger over that, I can feel it. So usually our embossing, and we use an embossing powder and heat. So usually our embossing powder is white, black, metallic colors. We don't have the ability to really make it all these other colors without buying crazy embossing powder, which isn't really available. So what we can do is use clear embossing powder, but we use our ink underneath it and then the clear on top, the clear embossing. So then it will match whatever we've used, whatever paper we use, it can all coordinate. So I've always struggled with this because you have to take and line it up perfectly, where now we don't have to do that. So let's use one of the stamps from the Creative Haven bundle. We're going to do You've Got This. So these are the lovely stamps in that. I'm going to use our Darling Duckling in color. And we're going to, because we don't have a yellow embossing powder, but we have a clear embossing powder. So I've positioned my paper. I'm going to put my large plate on here, and I'm going to put down, and like I always say, give it a minute to let that ink absorb into the paper. You know, pop it up, and you've got this, right? We've got this. So I'm going to just clean this stamp off, because then we need to put on our, sorry, just getting a wet wipe out here. Just going to kind of found this today, the easiest way to get these cleaned off. They are wet, so now I've got to dry it off because I can't use something wet on there. And I don't like taking a chamois or a piece of cloth, so what I do is just kind of take my piece of paper and I rub it down on here. And I do that a couple times to make sure it's dried off. And you can see that paper started to stick. And I need that paper in a second. So what we're going to do is, with embossing, a couple things. One, because we're going to put powder on it, we want to make sure that there's no static. So once that ink is dry, we're just going to take our embossing buddy and we're just going to gently rub it. And it takes the static off. It's filled with like a cornstarchy sort of powder. Then I have our Versamark ink, which is a watermark ink. So if I was to put it on the paper, it would give me kind of an inked image on the paper that's just a shade darker. So it looks like a watermark image. But it's also takes a little bit longer to dry than regular ink, and it's sticky. So you can't see it on there, but I've stuck it onto that image. I'm going to take my plate here, and because I haven't moved that paper and it's one piece, it's not folded like I was doing last night. And I apologize, my voice is a little raspy. I've had just this afternoon, I was eating some nuts and one went down the wrong way and I've been coughing incessantly. Okay, so then I can just kind of wipe this again to get that sticky ink off. All right, so I want to get onto this before it dries. I'm going to take my scrap piece of paper. I'm going to move my magnets. And now I've got my clear embossing powder. And I'm going to put it all over here. Don't worry, it looks like I've dumped way too much. But you know, if you've done sparkles or whatever on anything, you know, you're just going to dump them back into your container. So kind of tap this off. And you can get a really great embossing kit that gives you your embossing buddy. It also will give you a tray to do this on and a little brush to brush any excess off or to brush it back into the little cup here. And then it also comes with some reverse tweezers. I kind of old school like the piece of paper, have a paintbrush. I did get the embossing buddy. And I'm not going to use reverse tweezers because I have hands. So this is the heat embossing tool. It has two settings, one for like just drying ink or paint or whatever, and two for the higher heat that it requires for embossing. This is going to be a little loud, so I'm going to just heat this, and if you can hear me, great. If you can't, I will be back in a second. As I apply this, it's going to basically melt that powder, and you should start to see it change. It'll become glossy. It's starting there now. Brighter, actually, too. See, isn't that amazing? Heat embossing is so cool. But you could just see how that started to change. And now, because of the Stampin' Positioner, I can get that exactly on when I go to restamp it. And I can now basically emboss or have an embossed image in any color. I don't have to stick to my regular embossing, basic embossing colors of black and white or metallics. So that's another feature I discovered today. And I thought that was pretty cool. So I thought I would jump on and share. Thank you for joining me. Just a short little get together tonight for this. But definitely check out my Facebook page, Sissy's Cards and Crafts. And I'm going to paste the how to get the card club kit to do this together this month, towards the end of the month. I think the last week of this month. All right. I thank you so very much for joining me. Have a wonderful evening. Take care, and we'll see you soon.